On World News Tonight this Sunday, a new standoff brewing with Iraq. The UN inspectors want documents. Iraq accuses them of trying to pick a fight.
We are witnessing again a savage campaign, if I may say, of disinformation.
Russia mourns the latest victim of political assassination. This time, Yeltsin says he's taking charge of the investigation. And you can go home again. This ball player gave up millions to prove it.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight, Sunday. Sitting in for Carol Simpson and reporting from London, Elizabeth Vargas.
Good evening. Another standoff is building in Iraq. Last weekend, Iraq avoided a military strike that was just minutes away by pledging full cooperation with UN inspectors. This weekend, those inspectors are arguing once again over access, this time to documents. The Iraqis say the inspectors are asking the impossible and trying to give the U.S. an excuse to attack. They say they'll bring the issue before the UN Security Council tomorrow. We begin with ABC's Morton Dean in Baghdad.
Good evening.
The Iraqi crisis is back in a very familiar and potentially explosive place. This evening, Iraq's foreign minister rejected the UN's latest demand for documents about weapons production.
We had handed over all available documents to UNSCOM.
The combative foreign minister claimed his country had already provided UNSCOM with over 688,000 pages of documents. He and other government officials have complained the UN is asking for documents and diaries that have been seen before, have never existed, have been destroyed, or which exceed the mandate of the inspections. The anti-U.S., anti-UN criticism came in a torrent today. Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Aziz accusing Chief Arms Inspector Richard Butler of raising new issues, possibly to stall a UN review of the sanctions.
He is either creating a superficial pretext to justify the American aggression, or he is trying to confuse and undermine the comprehensive review.
And the government-controlled press also weighed in, referring to the corrupt rulers of America, rulers with sick dreams. Earlier, Iraq had indicated it would permit inspection of one document deemed crucial by the UN, but there are conditions attached, and that is possibly a violation of the no-conditions agreement reached last weekend, which saved Iraq from a punishing military strike. Morton Dean, ABC News, Baghdad.
The U.S. has warned Iraq there will be no warning before the next military strike. Today, leading senators on both sides of the aisle said the time to act is now.
I would go ahead and I would try to get folks out of there, and I would bomb him.
It seems to me very clear that when the president returns home, why we better be prepared for the military strike.
The U.S. and Britain have made no secret of their desire to see Saddam Hussein overthrown. Tomorrow here in London, the leaders of several Iraqi opposition groups will meet with the British foreign minister. ABC's Mike Lee reports on the effort to strengthen Saddam's enemies.
This time around, Iraqi opposition groups want guarantees of U.S. military protection to avoid a repeat of the disastrous uprising against Saddam in 1991. Dissident leaders remember how they believed the U.S. had weakened Saddam with Operation Desert Storm and had given the green light to try and oust him. But they also remember how that rebellion was crushed because America allowed Saddam to continue using his helicopter gunships after the Gulf War.
The Iraqi people who rose up felt they'd been betrayed, which will make it much more difficult for them ever to do anything again.
But over the past week, the U.S. has once again been encouraging the Iraqi people to revolt. In the Czech Republic this weekend, a new American-run Radio Free Iraq is broadcasting pro-West programs to Iraq in Arabic. And President Clinton's recent remarks about wanting to see Saddam replaced has electrified exiled opposition leaders.
The Iraqi people will move if they know that the United States is going to support them and is going to prevent Saddam from using his advanced weaponry to suppress them again.
Ahmed Chalabi has a specific proposal: set up and enforce no-fly, no-drive safe haven zones inside Iraq for a new opposition government and military. The idea is that Iraqi soldiers would defect and overthrow Saddam. Even though Congress has earmarked $97 million for the removal of Saddam, most nations do not support such a plan. And, say Middle East analysts, the over 70 Iraqi opposition groups are themselves not united.
The record of the last 7 years, since the War of '91, is that if you throw guns and money and facilities at the Iraqi opposition, they'll fight among themselves.
Those divisions have helped keep Saddam in power. But tomorrow, in meetings with British officials, at least some Iraqi opposition groups will join together. Mike Lee, ABC News, London.
President Clinton today warned about the growing danger in another potential flashpoint. He visited U.S. troops keeping the peace along one of the world's most hostile borders. ABC's Ann Compton is with the president in South Korea.
President Clinton spent the entire day with 35,000 American troops on duty in South Korea. He shared an early Thanksgiving dinner of freeze-dried MREs, meals ready to eat. He even chimed in on a birthday greeting for one veteran GI. There is a serious concern here that North Korea may have revived its nuclear weapons program, trying to hide it at an underground site. The North is also testing more powerful missiles and sending spy ships into South Korean waters. President Clinton called it a most dangerous battleground, just like Iraq.
Our ability to succeed in promoting peace is uniquely due to the fact that we can back up our diplomatic efforts when necessary with military strength.
The U.S. is not treating North Korea as a crisis, at least not yet. The new hard line comes just as there had been some signs that the North was beginning to open up. President Clinton was particularly impressed that a South Korean cruise ship docked back in port today from a first-ever tourist visit, an emotional return to North Korea by some families separated since Korea was divided decades ago. President Clinton insisted tourism would prove far more valuable to North Korea than nuclear weapons. Ann Compton, ABC News, Seoul, South Korea.
Still to come on World News Tonight this Sunday, another story from South Korea where you'll find some of the littlest victims of Asia's financial crisis when our broadcast from London continues.
This is World News Tonight, Sunday. Brought to you by Cadillac.
Inspired performance and handling. Luxury with a whole lot of fun. It's what sets Catera apart from every other car in its class. Now experience the difference during the Cadillac Performance Drive with up to $4,500 in factory-to-dealer cash. Catera with up to $4,500 in dealer cash, ready to move during the Cadillac Performance Drive. See your authorized Cadillac Catera dealer today.
When arthritis pain hurts, you want relief fast. But some pills can cause stomach irritation. Rubs can have odor. Aspercream's different. Rubbing an Aspercream relieves minor arthritis pain. No stomach irritation, no odor. Aspercream. Pain relief without aspirin.
Searching for an echinacea to help support your immune system? Nature's Resource knows you should look for an echinacea that contains glycolic acid and polyphenols to get results. And unlike some, Nature's Resource guarantees the potency and purity you need. Make your herbal resource Nature's Resource. Follow the knowledge.
Unlike ordinary pickles, Clausen just won't bend when it comes to taste. We make them cold and keep them cold. So enjoy the cold snap of Clausen.
Impeachment remained the hot topic of conversation on the Washington talk show circuit today. The future Speaker of the House says the impeachment process must go forward. Louisiana Republican Robert Livingston says the House has a duty to vote on impeachment, even if the public opinion is against it. Which way that vote should go remains a subject of heated debate.
Impeachment is far beyond what should be done. The American people's wisdom, I think, mirrors the wisdom of the founding fathers, that lying about an extramarital relationship is not the type of punishment they envisioned when it came to impeachment.
If this had been a Republican president who had done this, do you think he'd be sitting there today? I don't. I think he'd be gone.
I don't believe that the conduct itself rises to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. At the same time, I think we have a responsibility to make sure that the president is punished for his conduct.
If perjury and bribery of a witness are not high crimes and misdemeanors, if lying in a way that would destroy the integrity of the judicial system of this country by the highest chief executive officer and law enforcement officer of the country is not impeachable, then I'll eat my hat. It is indeed impeachable.
Another controversy has grown out of Ken Starr's investigation, this one focusing on the investigator himself. The law that created the position of independent counsel will soon be up for renewal, and many people are starting to question the wisdom of even having one. Here's ABC's Tim O'Brien.
Ken Starr's investigation of Bill Clinton has gone on for more than 4 years and has cost more than $40 million. Citing that as evidence of a good idea gone bad, a committee of the American Bar Association, once the staunchest defender of the independent counsel law, voted this weekend to oppose it.
There is no ending until the independent counsel says it's over. And there's no budget limits, there's no time limits, and there's really no supervision.
The independent counsel law grew out of Watergate and is aimed at preventing any recurrence of the infamous Saturday Night Massacre when President Richard Nixon fired Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox. But when Cox and his former colleagues commemorated the 25th anniversary of the Saturday Night Massacre in Washington last month, even Cox said he had misgivings about the law and how it may be used as a political weapon.
Treating the act as a partisan political tool has grown.
Cox and his Watergate successors had been appointed by the Attorney General under Justice Department regulations. Starr was appointed by a special federal court under the independent counsel law, which gave him far more insulation from White House pressure than Cox enjoyed. Insulation defenders of the law say is essential to avoid the appearance of conflict.
I think that it is important not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but to see what the problems are and to make modifications to a statute which has at its core a good concept.
Congress must act by the end of June to renew the independent counsel law. If it does nothing, one of the major legacies of the impeachment proceedings against Richard Nixon becomes one of the major casualties of the case against Bill Clinton. Tim O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
When we come back, a popular politician is murdered and a little bit of hope for Russia's future dies with her.
A friendly reminder from Grand Cinnamon Rolls.
For an enjoyable weekend, avoid things like message pads and, of course, alarm clocks. Instead, grab a big Grand Cinnamon Roll.
What better way to unwind after a long week than by enjoying a hot, fresh Grand Cinnamon Roll, now with richer, more homemade taste. They'll make you forget that Monday is...
Well, let's just forget about Monday. They're not just big, they're grands.
There's an athlete amongst us, disguised as a mother and a neighbor. And when most of us are still sleeping, she's running. She also takes the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and folic acid in Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins, made by General Nutrition Centers. Tomorrow, she'll get up and run some more. Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins, made exclusively by GNC. Live strong, live well.
Here. Introducing the new Silverado. It's bigger. It's more powerful. It's the truck from Chevrolet.
Sinus pain, so much pressure, I just can't focus.
Mom, what's 13 into 260?
Kevin, just give me a minute.
Mom, you okay?
Now clear the sinus pain with Tavist Sinus Gel Caps. It's new. It goes beyond pain relievers like extra-strength Tylenol to not only relieve pain, but unclog the congestion that may cause the sinus pain. So you're clear-headed again.
Can you say that again? You went too fast.
Why suffer sinus pain? Be clear-headed, clear through your day with new Tavist Sinus Gel Caps.
Doctors in Russia today say there's a good chance a political aide who was shot and wounded Friday will pull through. He's the only eyewitness to the attack which killed a popular member of the Russian parliament. The assassination shocked a country that has seen more of its share of high-profile murders lately. Here's ABC's Clay Scott.
Today, hundreds of Russians paid their respects to Galina Starovoitova, the country's leading female politician. Even a group of communists and their allies, her political opponents, observed a minute of silence in her memory. And the story of her murder dominated Russian television. As a deputy in Russia's parliament, Starovoitova was known for her vocal opposition to communists and radical nationalists. Earlier this month, she led the effort to censure a communist deputy for his anti-Semitic remarks. A brilliant politician was killed, said Igor Gaidar, former prime minister. I'm absolutely convinced it was a political murder. Most Russians agree, and that's what makes the assassination of Starovoitova different. In the world of Russian politics and finance, the violent settling of scores has become almost commonplace. Russia now sees an estimated 600 contract murders every year. Few are ever solved. But the death of Galina Starovoitova has touched people here. Hers was not another sordid political murder, Russians say. Galina Starovoitova was killed for what she believed.
This is a political climate in which the borderline between crime and politics is thinning. And at some levels, there is no borderline at all.
President Boris Yeltsin has vowed to do everything in his power to bring Starovoitova's killers to justice. And he appealed to Russia's political factions not to take advantage of her death and further polarize a country already in turmoil. Clay Scott, ABC News, Moscow.
In any crisis, it is the weakest and the most vulnerable who suffer the most. Asia's economic crisis is proving no exception, as ABC's Mark Litke reports.
Frightened and bewildered, 2-year-old Jung Ha-young arrives at a Seoul orphanage only hours after being abandoned by her family. The only consolation, she is not alone here. They are South Korea's economic orphans, and their numbers are growing at an alarming rate, hundreds in recent months, given up by out-of-work parents. Korea has no social safety net, no welfare system. Suddenly, without income, destitute families find they're unable to care for their children and feel they have no other choice but to hand them over to places like the Anyang Baby Home. The director here says it is painful to watch. Many are brought in by a parent or relative who says they'll be back when they find work, but only a few have returned. There are now so many children, she says, we're overwhelmed. Government funding for orphanages is minimal. Most survive on donations and the work of volunteers.
This is getting worse every day.
Park Young-suk of South Korea's Foster Care Association says the problem is made worse by traditional Korean attitudes toward orphans. Family bloodlines are very important in this culture, making adoptions very rare. But Park says wealthier Koreans should be providing more help.
People who are enjoying their lives can pay more attention because these are, after all, your own children.
Some have been lucky enough to find temporary foster homes. The Kim family took in 5-year-old Hyung-jun, who is thrilled to have a foster dad he can now hug and whisper, "I love you." Most, however, will not be this lucky. The outlook for the South Korean economy is still bleak. The lines outside public soup kitchens are growing longer, and that means more orphans, being well-fed, clothed, and cared for now, but their future is very uncertain. The economic crisis has broken the spirit of many Koreans. Now it is breaking their hearts. Mark Litke, ABC News, Seoul.
When we come back, the world-class ball player who left it all to help the home team.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
Fibercon or Metamucil, both have fiber for regularity.
But I like Fibercon better.
Same natural action of fiber, but only Fibercon contains calcium.
And with Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets.
Fibercon, fiber and calcium in a convenient caplet.
No mystery why millions of people have moved to the digital home entertainment of DirecTV. Because DirecTV gives them more movies, sports, and a variety of programming they just can't get from cable. So what are you looking at? If it's not DirecTV, see your retailer for a demo today.
When I feel fresh, I can embrace. I can share, reach.
With Always panty liners, that freshness leaves you free to be and do what you choose.
Laugh. I can shout.
Only Always odor-absorbing panty liners have a unique core and fresh weave cover that work together to help keep moisture and odor away from you for that always fresh feeling every day.
I can let go.
All Days panty liners from Always. Feeling fresh is being free.
There may be real progress when talks resume this week between players and owners in the NBA. Both sides say Friday's bargaining session was the most productive yet. During this lockout, players and fans may be asking themselves if there could be life without the NBA. ABC's John Frankel reports on one former player who knows there is.
Basketball fans are used to seeing Clyde Drexler do this. But in his hometown of Houston, they are just as happy to see him do this. Drexler, a future Hall of Famer, walked away from his multi-million-dollar NBA salary to coach at the University of Houston, where he first became a star.
But this was a chance to give back, and there's not a better place to give back than at your alma mater.
In the early 1980s, Drexler, along with Hakeem Olajuwon, was part of the University of Houston's famed Phi Slamma Jamma team. But during his 15-year NBA career, which included a championship with the Houston Rockets, his once great college team, the Houston Cougars, turned into a fraternity of nobodies.
Clyde and I, over the last 5 years, have gone from mildly disturbed to profoundly embarrassed.
Geddes is one of several former Cougars Drexler brought back as part of his coaching staff.
Since you brought everything back from those days but your hair. Hey, I wish I could bring that back. Maybe on the side.
This is more than a trip down memory lane. Just take a look around. Last season, average attendance was 2,800 people. This year, every home game is sold out. Drexler's presence has resulted in an economic and emotional windfall for the school and instant credibility in recruiting players. But the question remains whether a great player makes a great coach.
For the first 2 weeks, the kids were scared to death of him. I mean, they were just petrified. He'd say something, they were like, okay.
So far, Drexler has made the transition from schooling players in the NBA to teaching these kids.
He shows everybody new moves every single day. And when you use them in practice, at first you don't think they're going to work, but they work because he knows what he's talking about.
And now Coach Drexler hopes a little show and tell will raise his team back to the heights he took it to in years past. John Frankel, ABC News, Houston.
Finally, are they getting fit or going crazy? Maybe a little bit of both. The latest craze in LA when our broadcast from London continues.
No more excuses. Zyban is here. Prescription medicine, only available from your doctor. Ask your doctor about Zyban or call 1-888-650-PILL to find out more. Zyban. Now you have another choice.
Here are two computers that are quote-unquote perfect for you. The one on your left was built 2 months ago. The one on your right hasn't been built yet. Gateway wants to speak with you first. How fast do you want to go? Movie buff? How many kids? Any future Rembrandts? Now, which one is quote-unquote perfect for you? The perfect computer can be anything you want it to be, starting at $999 all the way up to your dream system. Call 1-800-GATEWAY and get more out of the box.
For 97 years, GMC has designed trucks for people who drove them not because they were trendy, but because their lives depended on them. Heroes who measured a truck by its power and its determination. That heritage lives in the new Yukon Denali. A luxury SUV with a 255 horsepower V8. It meets the demands of professionals and the standards of history. The Yukon Denali by GMC.
Announcing an amazing discovery. One A Day has combined the power of herbs with vitamins to help you during the cold season. Support your mood, even memory. New from One A Day. Just what you need to feel your best.
Tonight, Christopher Reeve is back.
Call me Citizen Voyeur.
In the most powerful performance of his career.
I think he killed her last night.
Christopher Reeve, Daryl Hannah.
I want to make you pay for what you've done.
The classic murder mystery.
Why don't we turn up the heat?
Rear Window, ABC Tonight.
A bit of movie news. According to studio estimates, the Rugrats movie grossed about $28 million this weekend. In second place, the political thriller Enemy of the State. Winner for the past 2 weeks, The Waterboy, dropped to third place. Finally tonight, staying ahead of the curve. As ABC's Judy Muller reports, in Los Angeles, it's getting downright dangerous.
This may look like group therapy for paranoids, but it's actually the latest craze in physical fitness. Go! It's a self-defense system called Krav Maga. In Los Angeles, where you're a nobody if you're not a hard body, it's attracting everyone from attorneys to actors. It doubles as a rigorous workout.
I've lost about 15 pounds. I feel energized.
And a confidence builder.
You would never, ever give up in any situation. They teach you to win in everything.
The only rule is there are no rules. Krav Maga is a no-holds-barred, eye-gouging, hair-pulling technique that can only be simulated in the classroom.
The body should be ready to give a headbutt, should be ready to give an elbow, should be ready to give a knee. Nothing stops in the fight.
Krav Maga is a Hebrew term for contact combat. It was developed by the Israeli military. Unlike traditional martial arts, it has no ritualized or choreographed moves.
They had to have a system that could be taught quickly, not ritualistic. Just down and dirty for the street.
It can be taught quickly because it's based on gut instinct. The instructors can take someone with no self-defense training and build on their natural reflexive moves. Eventually, the students gain the confidence to react quickly to threats.
But this movement has to be much faster than him pulling the trigger. So when I do this movement, I'm doing this in a snatching movement very fast with the body defense.
Give me a gun.
The technique is gaining popularity with police departments. The El Segundo police believe it's contributed to a reduction in charges of excessive force during arrests.
It allows the officer the confidence to deal with a situation without having maybe to escalate to a higher level of force.
Most of these students will never have to worry about using any level of force. Violent crime, after all, is down. But at least they'll be ready, whether it's a thug on the street or a bully on the playground.
Good now.
Judy Muller, ABC News, Los Angeles.
That's World News Tonight for this Sunday. Tomorrow on Good Morning America, the very latest on the situation in Iraq. I'm Elizabeth Vargas in London. Good night.
This week on World News Tonight, a special look at how the government spends some of your money. Could a cell phone network really make a U.S. weapon useless overseas?
On World News Tonight.
Jimmy Smith's last NYPD